What's up, y'all? I'm out here in nature, little park, and hope my service is quality enough for you to receive this. I felt inspired to share this concept about frame, the frame that we hold for ourselves, and identity. Frame and identity. I'm going to share with you a few different stories about the importance of frame and identity and what those mean. So, a while back I had a client who, when she hired me, she did not have a lot of money and was living in a gym. Now, her deepest desire and passion was to be in the health space, have her own gym to help people with their health, with their wellness, with their fitness. And although she had a lot of challenges at the time, or things that seemed like challenges, like money or depression or lack of focus or lack of clarity, all these things that she felt were very real, that she was actually experiencing, one of the main things that she was experiencing was this dying of an old identity, right? This person who had a job and wasn't in her heart and wasn't doing the thing that she really wanted to do and was most passionate about in life, and hadn't yet birthed a new identity, the person who was in this new role of having a service business in the fitness industry. And so the main thing that we did, besides work on her nervous system and on her mindset and all those things, the main thing that we did was we shifted her identity. And within 3 months, she became the person that actually owned the gym. Instead of the person who lived in the gym, she became the person who owned the gym. In just 90 days, that shift occurred. Now again, mindset is a component of this for sure, because what she was thinking about, her experience, her life, what needed to happen in order for the shift to change, right? She needed this in order for that to happen. The stories that she was making, the walls that she was putting up in front of her unconsciously because those were tied to old patterns that she wasn't aware of. And even though she was feeling stuff in her nervous system like fear or anxiety or stress, when she began to shift this identity as someone who could have her own fitness and wellness business, and someone who could own a gym, and someone who could step out and take a big leap even without seeing all of the future steps and having this business plan all mapped out and just knowing everything that needed to happen. Instead, just knowing clearly what the next few steps were became enough because her identity shift. It became enough because of who she decided she was ready to be in that moment. And because of that, we were able to make these larger mindset shifts internally. We were able to see the patterns that were connected to her old conscious beliefs that weren't serving her anymore, that came out of her family conditioning. She was able to see what was happening on her nervous system, and able to reduce the cortisol and the stress in her body so she could have the clarity that she thought she was lacking. And all of a sudden, that identity shift led to someone who was very capable of having her own business. And then what do you know? The pathway to her purchasing the gym opened up within 2 months' time. Actually, a little bit sooner. And it took her less than full 90 days for her to own that gym and then be living somewhere else, not inside the gym anymore. And then the work continued, obviously, to help her, build that and move on from there. And that was really one of the first major situations where she was able to see herself in this new way. This woman that I used to be running similar circles with, her name is JJ Virgin, extremely successful coach. She had this experience where she was with her son Actually, she wasn't with him. She found out that her son had a skiing accident and had to be helicoptered to the hospital and on life support. She was in the middle of writing a book, and at this time, flying to the hospital in panic as to whether or not her son was going to live, she was in the middle of writing and launching a book and still running her business. She got to the hospital, and while her son was on life support, she spent almost 24 hours a day in that hospital, still taking care of her other kids, still running her business, while making life-saving or life-threatening decisions about her son, whether he would live, whether he would walk again, and, what they were going to do in terms of his care at the hospital. During this time, because of the frame she had for her life, because of the identity that she had, she was already the mom on the other side of that, with a son who was alive and out of that hospital, with a book that was finished and launched. And wouldn't you know it, through that experience, while in that experience, she finished that book, she launched it, her son survived and left that hospital. There's so many situations where we think the things that we are experiencing in our life are the reasons why we can't do something. I don't have the money, so I can't hire that coach, or I can't travel, or I can't change businesses. But I've worked with other clients where, because they didn't have the money, was why they made those decisions. So they wouldn't continue to be in the fucking place of not having the money. So they got resourceful, figured out a short-term solution that allowed them to solve the long-term problem. Their new identity was someone who was no longer in that situation. I've worked with people who said they couldn't do something because they had kids. And I've worked with so many other clients who hired me because they had kids. And they wanted to be the evidence, the proof that their kids could do whatever they wanted in life, that they could take logical risks and that it would be worth it, that they could leap and that the net would appear, that they didn't have to follow the generational patterns that they were following up until that point, that they could draw a line in the sand and said, not for my children. They're going to know better, they're going to learn better because I'm going to change this now. I've had clients who just didn't feel like it because they didn't have the energy or the health. But because they didn't have the energy or the health, they hired me. Other clients hired me so that they could feel good again in their body. Whatever today you think is your reason for not doing something, someone else is making that decision and making that reason the reason to do the fucking thing. So while I've been in places where making decisions for my benefit that were longer term felt so scary, and I didn't necessarily see a way forward, every time that I trusted, that I took the leap, that I decided my new identity was the person on the other side who had already succeeded, every time, then the solution appeared. The way forward was made. I was rewarded divinely. I stepped into a new timeline, a new dimension of reality, because that future experience of you, that future version of you, already exists on a different timeline, and it requires you making the decision to shift your energy and frequency to line up, to tune into that vibration, to be that person, to receive what that person has already received. There is no lack. There is nothing missing. There is nothing missing. And if you need help shifting that identity, help with support along the way, I would love to hear from you and support you if it's a fit. But just know, there is nothing lacking. And whatever your reason is today, I respect it and appreciate it, but I will not hold you to your lower standard. I will not pity you and play into your story of victimhood. I will see you as the one who has already succeeded and help you strategically make a pathway to it. I love you, and you got this.